Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Vande Bharat. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. All Indian exports get duty-free access to Australia starting today under the Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement between the two countries. India rings in the new year with joy and enthusiasm. President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi extend New Year greetings to the countrymen. Australia provides duty-free access to all Indian exports starting today under the Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement between the two countries. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, commenting on the third anniversary of the deal, which came into effect on 29th December 2022, said that 100% Australian tariff lines will be zero duty for Indian exports from 1st of January 2026. In a social media post, the minister highlighted that the agreement is benefiting Indian exporters, MSMEs, farmers and workers. He also said that India's exports to Australia increased 8% in 2024-25. Piyush Goyal said that the agreement has delivered sustained export growth, deeper market access and stronger supply chain resilience over the past 3 years. India and Pakistan today exchanged lists of nuclear installations through diplomatic channels simultaneously in New Delhi and Islamabad. The exchange was carried out under the Agreement on the Prohibition of Attack against Nuclear Installations and Facilities between the two countries. The agreement, signed on 31st December 1988 and effective from 27th January 1991, stipulates that India and Pakistan must inform each other of the nuclear installations and facilities covered under the pact on the first day of every calendar year. This marks the 34th consecutive annual exchange of such lists, with the first having taken place on 1st January 1992. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh visited the Bangladesh High Commission in Delhi on Thursday. The minister conveyed condolences over the death of former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia. He also signed the condolence book at the Bangladesh High Commission. The move is viewed as part of India's diplomatic outreach to Dhaka. Skilling for AI Readiness, an initiative under the Skill India mission, was held on Thursday at the Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Centre in New Delhi. The program was organized by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and reflected the Government of India's continued focus on preparing the country's workforce for an AI-driven future. Addressing the event, President of India Draupadi Murmu spoke about AI playing a key role in India's growth, employment and productivity in the coming decade.
आने वाले दशक में देश के जीडीपी, रोजगार और ओवरऑल प्रोडक्टिविटी में एआई का योगदान महत्वपूर्ण होगा। देश का एआई टैलेंट पूल विकसित करने में डेटा साइंस, एआई इंजीनियरिंग और डेटा एनालिटिक्स जैसे स्किल की प्रभावी भूमिका होगी। सरकार विभिन्न संस्थाओं, इंडस्ट्री पार्टनर्स तथा एकेडमिया के साथ मिलकर ये सुनिश्चित कर रही है कि भारत केवल टेक्नोलॉजी को अपनाए ही नहीं बल्कि उसके
संपूर्ण अवेयरनेस कैंपेनिंग करे, उसके बारे में जानकारी दे, उनकी कोर्सेज को लेके आए, लोगों की रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी की आवश्यकता से लेके डीप अंडरस्टैंडिंग तक एआई कैसे मददगार हो, उसके लिए कैंपेनिंग चलाया जा रहा है।
Indian Railways is all set to introduce the Vande Bharat sleeper train for long journeys. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to flag it off later this month.
भारत एक्सप्रेस जो चेयर कार बनी, उसने देश में एक नया कॉन्फिडेंस जागृत किया एंड पीपल स्टार्टेड लाइकिंग इट अ लॉट। देश भर से आज रिक्वेस्ट आता है कि वंदे भारत ट्रेन चलाइए, करीब करीब हर एमपी चाहते हैं। वैसा ही कंफर्ट अब ओवरनाइट जर्नी के लिए, वैसा ही कंफर्ट, वैसी ही सेफ्टी, वैसा ही स्टैंडर्ड एक नया ओवरनाइट जर्नी के लिए वो वंदे भारत स्लीपर से स्टार्ट होगा।
Addressing the conference, Ashwini Vaishnav said that the Vande Bharat sleeper train is built on a completely new platform and technology. He later thanked the team for its hard work and said that it was ready ahead of schedule at the start of 2026.
हमने जिस तरह से वंदे भारत चेयर कार में लगातार इम्प्रूवमेंट्स किए, हर वर्जन में नए इम्प्रूवमेंट्स किए, अब उन इम्प्रूवमेंट्स के बाद में ये तय किया कि टोटली नया प्लेटफॉर्म एक बने, टोटली नया टेक्नोलॉजिकल बेस एक बने, टोटली एक नए तरीके से सोचें। तो अंदाज़ा था कि करीब 2026 के मिडल तक कंप्लीट हो जाएगा काम, लेकिन लकीली जितनी मेहनत की टीम ने 2026 की आरंभ में ही ये काम कंप्लीट हुआ है।
The Reserve Bank of India released the Financial Stability Report in December 2025, which reflects the collective assessment of the Subcommittee of the Financial Stability and Development Council on the resilience of the Indian financial system and risks to financial stability. The main highlights of the report are as follows. Despite an uncertain and challenging global economic backdrop, the Indian economy continues to grow strongly, underpinned by robust domestic demand, benign inflation and prudent macroeconomic policies. The domestic financial system remains robust and resilient, bolstered by strong balance sheets, easy financial conditions and low financial market volatility. The health of the scheduled commercial banks remains sound with strong capital and liquidity buffers, improved asset quality and robust profitability. Non-banking financial companies or NBFCs remain robust, supported by strong capital buffers, solid earnings and improving asset quality. The insurance sector continues to display balance sheet resilience and the consolidated solvency ratio remained above the minimum threshold limit. Today, the nation marks the 68th Foundation Day of the Defence Research and Development Organization, formed in 1958 to build India's indigenous defence technology. As the country celebrates DRDO's achievements, the occasion also highlights the vital role of defence research and innovation in safeguarding India's strategic future. Take a look at this special report.
Now, +1, +2 and counting up.
The Defence Research and Development Organization marks its 68th Foundation Day on January 1st. Established in 1958, with just a handful of laboratories, DRDO has grown into a powerhouse of innovation, now operating over 50 labs and driving cutting-edge technologies for our armed forces. DRDO over the years has created world-class platforms giving India strategic autonomy. It has done through robust research and development facilities and is pioneering an ecosystem that will enable Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Now,
The Integrated Air Defence Weapon Systems, QR-SAMs, VSHORARs, Directed Energy Weapons, Advanced Surface Wave, Over-the-Horizon Radar and new man-portable autonomous underwater vehicles for mine countermeasures. The key milestones include the successful long-duration test of the scramjet combustion engine in April, running over 1000 seconds, a critical step towards hypersonic weapons that places India amongst the elite global club. DRDO also demonstrated free space quantum secure communications over 1 kilometer in June, paving the way for unbreakable cyber security. DRDO offered 28 weapon systems for emergency procurement and deepened private sector partnerships, transferring technologies for light tanks, artillery ammunition and more. Looking ahead, DRDO 2.0 is shifting focus to next generation technologies, directed energy weapons, photonics, quantum systems and artificial intelligence.
Future wars will not be fought by platforms alone. They'll be fought by systems. Systems are being created by DRDO along with the private sector, and DRDO is spearheading this mission of Atmanirbhar Bharat. With camera person Shubham, this is Colonel Danvi for DD India.
On 1st January in 2015, a significant shift in India's policy framework took shape with the formation of NITI Aayog. Here's a report.
NITI Aayog was constituted through a resolution of the Union Cabinet, replacing the Planning Commission and marking a decisive move towards cooperative and competitive federalism. Designed as a policy think tank of the Government of India, NITI Aayog aims to foster inclusive growth by involving states as equal partners in national development. It emphasizes bottom-up planning, evidence-based policy making, and outcome-oriented governance. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, NITI Aayog has played a key role in shaping long-term development strategies, aligning governance with innovation, sustainability, and India's evolving socio-economic needs. From policy reforms to development, NITI Aayog continues to serve as a catalyst for transformative change in India's growth journey. With a vision of self-reliant and future-ready India, NITI Aayog remains central to the nation's policy architecture. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
Chinese President Xi Jinping said the reunification of our motherland, a trend of the times, is unstoppable in what is a reference to reunification of China and Taiwan. In a New Year's address delivered a day after Chinese military wrapped up war games around Taiwan, Xi invoked the bond of blood and kinship between Chinese people on each side of the Taiwan Strait. Xi's speech came on the heels of 2 days of live fire drills simulating a blockade of the island. The drills were the largest ever held around Taiwan in terms of geographical area. Meanwhile, Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te said that the island is determined to defend its sovereignty and boost its defense in the face of China's increasing expansion after Beijing fired rockets towards the island as part of military drills. Lai demonstrated the need for increasing defense procurement, urging opposition parties to support his plan to boost Taiwan's defense spending by $40 billion, a proposal currently stuck alongside other issues in a political deadlock in the opposition-controlled parliament. Taiwan's president expressed his will to engage in exchanges and cooperation with China on an equal and dignified basis, promoting a peaceful and shared environment across the strait. Israel's military chief says the country's determination to disarm Hamas is absolute, calling 2026 a decisive year for Israel's security. Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir has made the remarks during a visit to Israeli troops in Gaza. His comments follow talks between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. President Donald Trump on the next phase of the fragile Gaza truce. U.S. President Donald Trump warned Hamas of severe consequences if it does not disarm, while the group has repeatedly refused to surrender its weapons. Although the ceasefire has largely held since October, both sides accuse each other of violations. Meanwhile, Israeli military have begun demolishing 25 buildings in the Nur Shams refugee camp in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli military says the demolitions are part of operations targeting armed groups in the area. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Dozens of people are feared to have been killed in a fire explosion in New Year's Eve party in the upscale ski resort of Crans-Montana in Switzerland. And Bulgaria adopts euro as its official currency.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. Dozens of people are feared to have been killed and around 100 injured after an explosion tore through a crowded bar during a New Year's Eve party in the upscale ski resort of Crans, Montana on Thursday. The blast occurred at the La Constellacio, a bar popular for New Year celebrations, with more than 100 people present inside at the time. The cause of the explosion remains unknown and investigations are ongoing. The area has been fully cordoned off and a no-fly zone has been imposed over Crans, Montana, and Valles Canton Police assured victims to support during these particularly dramatic and painful moments.
Messieurs, je ne saurais vous le cacher.
We are shaken by what happened last night in Crans. On behalf of the command of the Valais Cantonal Police, I extend my deepest sympathy to the victims and the families affected by this tragedy. I assure them of our support during these particularly dramatic and painful moments. As for the timeline of events, here is what I can tell you at this stage. At around 1:30 a.m., smoke was seen coming from a bar located in the center of the Crans resort. At the same time, a third party called for help by contacting the dispatch center of the Valais Cantonal Police.
De la fumée a été aperçue émanant d'un bar situé.
Russia had alleged that Ukraine carried out a drone attack on Russian President Vladimir Putin's residence in the Novgorod region, although they did not say where he was at the time. On Wednesday, the Defense Ministry published a video of a downed drone that it claimed was used to conduct the offensive. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Wednesday his country was 10% away from a deal to end the conflict with Russia, but cautioned that the most important issues were unresolved and warned against rewarding Moscow. In his New Year's Eve address, Zelensky said his country wanted an end to the conflict but not at any cost, and that any agreement needed strong security guarantees to deter Russia from invading again. Zelensky said in the address that the peace agreement is 90% ready.
What does Ukraine want? Peace? Yes. At any cost? No. We want the end of the war, not the end of Ukraine. Are we tired? Extremely. Does that mean we are ready to surrender? Those who think so are deeply mistaken. Ukraine does not need a Minsk-style, meticulously drafted trap. Signatures under weak agreement only fuel war. My signature will be under a strong agreement. And that is exactly what every meeting, every call, every decision is about right now. To secure a strong peace for everyone.
Russian President Vladimir Putin urged Russians to believe in victory in Ukraine during his annual New Year's Eve address, his fourth since the conflict began. The Russian leader has consistently told his citizens that the military intends to seize the rest of Ukrainian land he has proclaimed as Russian by force if talks fail.
We strive to bring joy and warmth to those in need of our participation and care, and of course to support our heroes, the participant in this special military operation in word and deed. You have taken on the responsibility to fight for your native land, for truth and justice. Millions of people across Russia are with you on this New Year's Eve. They are thinking of you, empathizing with you, hoping for you. We are united in our sincere, selfless, and devoted love for Russia. I congratulate all our soldiers and commanders on the coming New Year. We believe in you and our victory.
От искреннего стремления принести ей пользу.
Firefighters battled multiple blazes in Ukraine's Odesa region after Russian strikes hit the area on New Year's night, causing damage to residential buildings. Regional authorities say Russia launched an overnight drone attack, striking homes and civilian infrastructure and injuring 4 people, including 3 children. Odesa, a key Black Sea port city, has been repeatedly targeted by Russian missiles and drones during nearly 4 years of war, with attacks frequently hitting energy facilities, transport hubs, port infrastructure and residential neighborhoods. Bulgaria became the 21st nation to adopt the euro as its official currency on New Year's Day, joining the eurozone. The historic moment was marked by a countdown displayed on the Bulgarian Central Bank's building, followed by images of new Bulgarian euro coins and the European Union flag. People gathered in the square next to the central bank to celebrate New Year's Eve and Bulgaria's euro adoption. The US military said that 8 people were killed in multiple new strikes on alleged drug boats, bringing the death toll in Washington's campaign against what it says are narcotics traffickers to at least 115. US Southern Command, which is responsible for American forces operating in Central and South America, announced 2 sets of strikes which were carried out on Tuesday and Wednesday. The exact location of the strikes was not immediately made clear. Previous strikes have taken place in the Caribbean or the Eastern Pacific. The military said it had notified the Coast Guard to activate the search and rescue system without offering more details about the fate of those aboard the other boats. Hours later, it issued a second statement about strikes on 2 more vessels conducted on Wednesday, killing 5 people. Again, it was not clear where the strikes took place. US President Donald Trump said on Wednesday his administration was removing the National Guard from Chicago, Los Angeles and Portland, but he added in his social media post that federal forces will come back if crime rates go up. Local leaders in those cities and Democrats have said the deployments, which have faced legal challenges, were unnecessary. They have accused the Trump administration of federal overreach and also of exaggerating isolated episodes of violence at mostly peaceful protests to justify sending in troops. Trump has said troop deployments in the Los Angeles, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Memphis and Portland were necessary to fight crime and protect federal property and personnel from protesters. The U.S. Supreme Court on December 23rd blocked Trump's attempt to deploy National Guard troops in Illinois, a ruling that undercut his legal rationale for sending soldiers to other states. Zohran Mamdani has been sworn in as a New York City's mayor, ushering in the new year with new leadership. The private oath-taking ceremony was administered by New York Attorney General Letitia James. It was held at the historic Old City Hall subway station close to the public since 1945. Now a look at the New Year celebrations from around the world. President Draupadi Murmu conveyed her heartfelt greetings and best wishes to citizens across the country and abroad. In a message, President Murmu said, and I quote, "On the joyous occasion of New Year, I extend my heartiest greetings and best wishes to all Indians in the country and abroad." The New Year symbolizes renewed energy and positive change. It is also an opportunity for self-reflection and fresh resolutions. On this occasion, let us further strengthen our commitment to the nation's development, social harmony and environmental protection. May the year 2026 bring peace, happiness and prosperity into our lives and infuse new energy to build a stronger and more prosperous India. India rang in the new year with joy and enthusiasm as people across cities and towns came together to welcome fresh beginnings. From bustling metropolitan hubs to scenic hill stations, celebrations were marked by gatherings, events and public festivities. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un attended New Year celebrations in Pyongyang, marked by fireworks, a countdown and patriotic performances. In his New Year address, Kim praised North Korean people for strengthening the country's dignity and power in 2025 and urged unity ahead of a key ruling party Congress expected in early 2026. Kim, along with his daughter, met families of North Korean officers fighting alongside Russia in the Ukraine war and later attended a banquet for workers selected for their loyalty to the regime. The National Sports Governance Act partially came into effect on Thursday with provisions that will set the ball rolling for the institution of National Sports Board and a tribunal to handle sporting disputes. The act was notified on August 18 last year and has been described as the single biggest sporting reform in the country by Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia. The provisions being brought into effect relate to the establishment and governance framework of national sports bodies, including the National Olympic Committee, National Paralympic Committee, National Sports Federations and regional sports federations. That's all in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. This is Munmin Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.